What do we know about Dorian Gray until now?
He was not aware like of his beauty, and I don't remember the name of the guy, but he told him like, hey, you can conquer the world. You're not aware of this, and you should know you're beautiful and all that stuff. So I think his ego like go beyond and started analyzing things like, oh, the picture will stay young, but I will just be old and all that stuff. He was very, but very, very, how I say that, preocupado, worried about his beauty and all his facial things.
Yeah, good analysis. And who wants to tell me what was Dorian Gray's reaction when he saw the picture that Basil had completed of him? People, when he saw the completed picture, how did he react? Okay, how did you expect him to react when he saw the picture? What would have been a more normal reaction? What would have been a normal reaction? Somebody just painted a picture of you and it's beautiful. How would you normally react?
Excited?
Okay.
I would be like, ooh, I'm beautiful. But he reacted negatively. Negative. Negative. How do you say negativamente? I'm asking, how do you say negativamente?
A single thing that you're
Negativamente? How do you say that? Sí. Eso. Ya, Gabriel me está fallando. I'm sorry.
Okay, that was an interesting interruption. So if somebody took a really good picture of you, and you liked it, what would be a normal reaction? A normal reaction would be like, oh, it's so pretty, I like it, thank you. Okay, so how did Dorian Gray react? Who wants to tell me? When he saw the picture and he saw how wonderful the picture looked, how beautiful he looked in the picture, what was his reaction?
He got worried that he will become old and the picture would still be beautiful. So he got like scared of aging.
Okay. What's the biggest issue with that reaction? What's the real problem with that way in which he reacted? Because if the book doesn't tell us exactly how old Dorian Gray is, but it calls him that he wasn't in the adult age yet. So let's assume maybe he was like 19 or 20. Considering that the age of adulthood used to be like 21. I'm not sure. So maybe he was like in his late teens or early 20s. So what's the problem with that reaction that he had? What's the real problem?
That he thinks that his beauty is everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What else? What else can you tell me? What's wrong with his reaction? So you think his reaction was okay? Was it a normal reaction? No? Then what's wrong with it? Isabella said that he thought his beauty was everything. What else was wrong with his reaction?
Maybe he could take an action that wasn't good for himself. I don't know how to explain it, but some people when they are scared of becoming old and seeing their pictures that are young and how they were beautiful, some people like tend to maybe be depressed or some kind of thing like that, I guess.
Okay. So all of you have baby pictures of yourself, right? When you look at those pictures, how do you feel? Do you want to be a baby again? How do you feel?
Sometimes I wanna be a baby again.
Why on earth?
Because in that time I was like so relaxed, and I don't have to worry, or no tengo que worry about the school and workshop or tests and those things. I was like I was only worried to watch TV and play and sleep. It was beautiful.
Okay. Who else? Who else has a different reaction to Mary's reaction when you see your baby pictures?
Um, and I see a picture of me when I was baby, I feel like just no, like I was so cute, and now I like ugly. You know, I think something like that. Like it's not true, but yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for participating, Daniel. It's so wonderful to hear your voice. Okay, yeah. So usually when you see a picture of yourself as a baby, you're supposed to feel like, oh, it's so cute, or something like that, and get happy. Now, how many of you, except for Mary, when you see your picture of a baby, you really,
Ya
really,
voy.
okay, you really, really,
Oh.
you really, really want to become a baby again? How many of you, you look at your picture as a baby and you're like, ooh, I really want to wear diapers again? Who does that? Nobody? Okay, so how many of you right now, I don't know how old you are, 17, 18, 200, how many of you really want to be adults? How many of you think like, oh, I just really want to get my cedula, I want to become an adult? How many of you are thinking that? Nobody.
When I was little.
And you don't think so anymore?
Nope.
What about the rest of you? Do you ever say like, oh, ¿cuándo esa cédula? Quiero ser adulto. No?
I didn't think about the cellula and being a grown up. I just thought like, okay, the only way to get out, well, some part from my parents' decisions and rules, it's to grow up. If I want to do the things that I want and I'm planning to do, the only way I can do it is to be a grown up, okay? So I have to stop being childish and other things that I was to become that person. And in that way, a lot of people think that being a grown-up, you can have a lot of opportunities. But a lot of grown-ups are grown-ups and do not get that opportunity and just stay at home and do anything and scrap their butt. You know, you will. Yeah. I wasn't thinking like I need the cellula. I was thinking like I need to do something because I want to do this. But the only way that I can do is to be a grown up. I was thinking that way. No
Okay.
que la cellula era lo mejor.
Okay, yes. So what one of the things that Mary Ruth mentioned is that when she was a little child, and one of the reasons why she wants to become a little child again is because you don't have to worry about like workshop and school and all of that. But my question to you is this: when you become an adult, all your worries disappear, or do you have new things to worry about?
More things, because you need to pay the car, the energy, the
And when you get married, it's more responsibility to.
like it's be adult have a good part and like a not good part, because when you grow up you have you have like the opportunity to make things that you want, but you have a lot of like things to do. So you
Responsibility.
need to you need to work, you need to pay all the deudas,
Debts.
debts, and all those things. And that's why I think like, well, I really want to grow up. I really want to be paying things and being worried of university and my, I don't know, I get stressed.
So you see, as you can see, as you grow older, the older you get, the more responsibilities you have. A lot of people, and I've just heard you say it, think that being an adult means that you have absolute freedom. That's not true. That is not true. You actually have a lot less freedom. Because when you're your age or you're a kid, you can stay at home and just stare at the TV all day if you want to. You can spend your whole Sunday staring at the TV or your computer or your phone. But when you're an adult, you don't have the freedom to do this because you have a lot of responsibilities. So the thing that you need to have clear is that at whichever age that you are in, you have to make up your mind that you're going to enjoy it. Because it's not going to be better than or worse than before. It's just, it is what it is. Okay, so in chapter 3, we find out a little bit more about Dorian Gray. And it so happens that his mother, of course, was this really beautiful woman, and she was also very rich. But instead of marrying someone on her own economical status, she married like a loser who was really poor. Okay, so let's talk for a few minutes about that. When you belong to a certain economical status, people simply expect you to find a partner, a husband or a wife within that group. Why is this? Why is this expected?
What?
When you have a certain economical status, everybody expects you to find a husband or a wife in a similar economical status. Why is this? Why does this happen? Why? So you would not expect the
Prestige and money.
okay.
I think that depends in the impression that the person gives to the other people.
Okay, wait. Think about it like this. You would not expect the daughter of the people who own Supermercados El Rey to marry a guy who collects garbage. You would not expect that. Why?
Mostly because they work on 2 different fields and they really have no reason to interact with each other. I mean, when you look at it, like, who was the queen or a king who married like an actress,
Bro,
actress or something like that?
How's his name?
It has happened
And she didn't.
twice before. The most recent one was Prince Harry, I think was his name, who married Meghan Markle.
Sorry.
Yes.
In history.
Whiteless.
It has happened before in history. And everybody's like, ah! Why are people so surprised when this happens? Hello? Okay, let me change the question. You have an answer?
I have an idea, like, they are surprised because they think that having in both sides, the woman and the man, having the same kind of likes and religion and, you know, everything, they are supposed to be a perfect match, you know? Because if you see in a lot of stupid dramas and comedia or something, they always say, oh, you're a doctor too. No, you're a perfect match. But if they look like they see another couple that are not the same the same part of the situation or like the same thing that the other do. They are like, you are going to be very, like, I don't know how to say it. You're not going to be happy in the future because the things that you like, the both things are very different. And liking very different things is bad because if you don't like the thing that your husband or your wife likes, it will make a lot of trouble and you will get into a lot of a fight. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that they are thinking, I mean, that having those type of couple will have a lot of malentendidos.
Friction, it causes a lot of friction. Tell me, Nassim, what do you want to say?
But I think there's a certain level of, I lost the word. I just happen to think about it. But when you have two people in different social economical status, you get inevitable someone is in a lower social and economic status than the other one. And there is a component of a kind of social climbing in the way that people tend to interpret the decisions that other people make in the social structure that they belong. And I see it is mainly in media, in culture, and novels, in movies based on novels. But you're expected to do something that will increase your status in certain way, or at least will not make it decrease. And because of this, it's surprising when someone in a social economical status that is pretty aware of how this stuff can affect his or her position, actually deliberately decides to do certain things that actually lower the respect or the expectations that people have in them. And these expectations may come from that, for the fact that as you are higher in the social economical ladder or something, you get more aware of how things affect your social status. Because of this, people tend to highly value this stuff.
I also think that whether you're a man or a woman affects a lot. Rebecca, that's not you. I don't want to see that. I think it affects whether you're a male or female, because if you have a woman who's really rich and she marries the garbage collector, everybody's like, oh, ew. But if the guy is really rich and he marries the garbage collector woman, then it's okay. Okay, it's accepted. Oh, she's so lucky and how wonderful, and he rescued her. And sometimes it has to do with the gender. And why is that? Why does it change? Why does the story change or the reaction change when the gender changes?
We expect the male, I think, to be the provider of the relationship. We usually fear this as if you have a couple of the same social economic status, the guy she will choose to marry will be the one with highest status of them all in that particular stage of the social economical status.
But isn't it a little bit sexist?
Yes, it is. But it has its history. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that it's justified, but it has a lot of history for the picture of the male being the provider of any kind of relationship. The only thing that gets value for the male in the relationship in a really, really diluted manner will be the fact that he's able to
provide.
He's able to provide to the woman, or the family, or whatever.
In the case of Dorian Gray, his mother married this loser who also had no money. And on top of that, he got killed while she was pregnant. And so after she had Dorian Gray, she died. Okay, some people say from a broken heart. So Dorian Gray was actually a very rich orphan. So that explains probably a little bit of his ridiculous reaction when he saw his picture. Having grown up without family, so without a mom and a dad, the only thing that he found of value within himself was his face. And he didn't want to lose that. So he literally thought that the only reason why people loved him was because he was pretty. So that's chapter 3. In chapter 4, Dorian Gray starts imitating. Okay, in chapter, was that 3 or 4? In chapter 4, Sir Henry, the guy with the bad influence, is really obsessed with having an influence on Dorian Gray. He wants to transform Dorian Gray into something more like him. And it's happening. Dorian Gray is starting to talk and express himself like Sir Henry. In chapter 4, we meet Sir Henry's wife. And Sir Henry's wife is like literally one of those women who is invisible. She has no thoughts of her own. She has no depth of character. She's just a beautiful commodity. So let's talk a little bit about that, because of the fact that for many, many hundreds of years, and it's not gotten any better now, women were simply seen as somebody that you have to marry to comply with society's expectations. They were not expected to have a voice. They were not expected to analyze, to be logical, to have a brain. Now, this book was written in 18-something, 1890 or 1840, who knows? But the other day I was reading an article that was written in 1950, which is a lot more closer to us. And in the article, the person writing the article was talking about how to get men to like you. And one of the things that she suggested was to not act intelligent. Okay? So this is something that, and if we bring it into 2020 and we go on social media, we see a lot of women and young girls and even older women acting stupid wanting to be liked. So this is not something that just happened. This is something that has been happening from the foundation of the world until now. Of course, there are some women who are going to fight this, with a sword. But there are a lot of women who are simply going to agree with this and behave in that manner in which you become like a nobody. Okay, so Dorian Gray comes to Sir Henry to tell him that he found a woman and he's in love with her. Sir Henry has a very low idea of women, probably starting with the images that he got from his own mother, because it always starts there. And then with the woman he married, who's simply nothing up here. And so he tries to convince Dorian Gray that this woman that he meets is probably not worth his time, or that he's too beautiful or too good for that woman. But Dorian Gray is in love and he actually wants to get married. So what I suspect will happen is that Sir Henry is going to try to convince Dorian Gray to not get married or whatever. But that's not the point. The point is this: why is it so easy for so many men and women to lose their authenticity? First of all, what do we understand by the word authenticity? Who wants to take that one? What is authenticity? Yes, go ahead, Adrian.
So, to my knowledge, authenticity is, in a person, authenticity is more of your true self, or the real you that exists apart from others' thoughts and influence. So, when you say that we lose authenticity, it's more like people getting influenced by others' words or expectations of themselves, and you lose that certain grasp that you have of yourself.
Yes, very well said, Adrian. Somebody else wants to answer the question: why is it so easy for people to lose their authenticity? And you know what? This has nothing to do with age. Okay, so yes, Dorian Gray was a young guy, and he's starting to imitate Sir Henry and acting like Sir Henry and answering like Sir Henry and thinking like Sir Henry. So it's obviously he's being influenced and he's losing his authenticity if he ever had any. But this is not something that's only limited to younger people. Older people also lose their authenticity. So my question to you is, think about social media, because that's life right now. Think about social media and tell me, why is it so easy? Why has it become so easy for people to post what they're not or who they're not instead of being true to themselves?
Because they want to have the proof of the other people.
Excellent, Amir. Anybody else? Anybody wants to add something to that?
Maybe they don't feel good with himself.
They don't feel good with themselves? Good. One more person?
They want that people like them even though they aren't themselves.
Yeah. And you know what you mentioned, Isabella, it's true. A lot of people want others to like them, but they don't like themselves. So if you don't like yourself, why would you want other people to like you? And that's part of the problem. Okay, so give me some examples of ways in which people lose their authenticity on social media. Give me some examples. I love that painting behind you, Aranza. It's really interesting. The little boy, I like it. So tell me, give me examples, ways in which people lose their authenticity on social media.
Maybe when they are like uploading story, like, okay, you today will choose my clothes that I will wear for today. You will choose everything that I will do tomorrow, and for 4 weeks you will choose everything for me. So please comment below. I will upload some videos on fashion, and you will tell me what you like. Okay, basically that is example. That means that they are not thinking about what the person that it's showing them or asking the stupid question. They are not talking about themselves. They are trying to talk about others. And in that point, they are not them. They are trying to be others. But when I mean others, a lot of people. That's why you say, oh, can you choose my makeup for today? I'm like,
my question is then, regarding that you're saying, why do people do that? What's the purpose of doing that? What are they trying to do with that?
One example, the first thing that I can think about that thing is that the first thing is to be liked by other people, to be acceptable.
Yes, no, totally, that's true. But when it comes specifically, let's talk about Instagram. If you have that attitude of the example that you're mentioning, like, oh, you're gonna choose my shoes and you're gonna choose my skirt, blah, blah, blah. Why would somebody do that on Instagram? What are they trying to obtain? What's the objective?
The people attention?
Yes, but you know, there are two things on Instagram that people are really obsessed with. What are they?
Likes.
Likes.
Follows.
Yes, likes and followers. So
And views.
Yeah, and views. Yeah. So people do all of these things and they leave their authenticity because they want more likes, more followers, more views. Okay. So that's one example. Give me another example of what things that people do on social media, which shows that they have lost their authenticity.
I have an example that I don't know. It's from YouTube, and it's something that I watched. That if I make some kind of content of something that I like, it could be crafts or I don't know, blogs. When people start commenting that they don't like that kind of stuff, and the YouTuber start changing what they like to what people likes that content, they lose their authenticity.
Yeah, absolutely. Great example. Anybody else can come up with another example of how people lose their authenticity on social media?
And another example is friends do when they are telling like, okay, for today I'm going to do the eating something challenge. Just because the followers say that if you can do that challenge, and a lot of people get in trouble and sick for doing those stupid challenges, like eating spicy ramen challenge. Okay, for today, and they keep the thing going and going on because they people that are commenting think it's fun, but it is fun for you. It is good for your health.
Yeah, I read a really good book a few months ago about some teenagers in Australia that had this thing on their social media page where people would challenge them to do stuff. And the challenge was that they had to kiss a frog, and the girl actually found a frog and kissed it and got poisoned. So yeah, I know, it's ridiculous. Okay, so people come to a point where they do whatever they think they should do in order to gain followers, views, and likes. And when you have a social media account, you're supposed to feel the freedom to upload the things that you like, the things that make you happy, the things that you are passionate about, not the things that random strangers are telling you to do. Because once you start uploading stuff because some random bunch of people that you don't know want it, you have lost your authenticity. And I gave an example yesterday to a group I was speaking to, and I said, say for instance, I really love my cat, and I want to upload pictures of my cat, but some of my followers really don't like cats. So instead of uploading pictures of my cats that I love, I start uploading pictures of birds because people like birds. Then I am lying to myself. I am not being authentic. I am doing what other people want. So one of the important things that you need to remember is that before you start trying to please people, you belong to yourself. You're first, and it sounds selfish, but it's not. But your first task is to make sure you are good with you. That you like yourself, you think highly of yourself, you approve of yourself, you value yourself. But a lot of times we try to get that from other people, and that's a huge mistake. I saw a small clip from a guy, somebody tagged me in it on social media, on Instagram, and apparently he's some kind of a Mexican drag queen or something. And he was like crying and saying, oh, lo lograron, me destruyeron, ya no voy a hacer más videos. And I'm young guy, probably 19, 20. And I'm like, really, dude, really? I mean, how are you going to allow a bunch of random people that you don't know to destroy you? Okay, so if he had been posting what he likes, whatever that is, he would not have fallen into that situation last night with that video of crying porque me destruyeron. Do you understand what I'm telling you? So the social media is not bad. A lot of people say, oh yeah, las redes sociales son el demonio. No, social media is not bad. It's just something that's there, and you get to decide how you're going to use it, how you are going to show up in it. So if we bring it back to this story, Dorian Gray was so impressed by Sir Henry that he wanted to become like Sir Henry. And that happens a lot on social media too. We have these people that we follow, that we like, that we admire, and instead of just admiring them, we want to become like them. And we start talking like them, dressing like them, acting like them, you know, and then we lose ourselves because you, every single one of you, you have everything that you need to be you. You don't have anything to be me, only to be you. So you were born with whatever it is that you need to be the perfect you. So when you start looking at somebody else and trying to be that person, you're going to start feeling this emptiness inside because you don't have the tools to be that other person. Do you understand what I'm telling you? And that's why it's so important that no matter what happens and no matter what they say, you have to be faithful and true to yourself. If everybody else thinks that as soon as you're 18, you need to start drinking, or as soon as you're 16, you need to start partying, or as soon as you reach a certain age, you need to shave your head, but this is not what you want, then don't do it. Don't do it, because you're going to be hurting yourself. And in the future, you know, if you cannot count on yourself, what do you have? Because you can't count on people, but at least you need to be able to count on yourself. Okay, so Dorian Gray in chapter 4 is in love. Sir Henry does not believe in love or in women, and we need to thank his mother for that, because that's where those ideas come from, and his ridiculous wife. And Sir Henry is going to try to convince Dorian Gray that having feelings for a woman and wanting to marry a woman is wrong. And there's something very interesting that Sir Henry says about marriage. Listen to what he says. He says, my dear boy, the people who love only once in their lives are really the shallow people. Okay, shallow people means people that don't have depth of mind. The people who love only once in their lives are really the shallow people. And this is referring mostly to the whole point of you find a person, you fall in love with that person, and you love that person for the rest of your life. And listen to something else that he says. He says, never marry at all, Dorian. Men marry because they are tired, women because they are curious, and both are disappointed. And one more thing he says about women, because the woman that Dorian Gray is in love with is an actress, and Dorian Gray thinks that she's like a genius, and this is what Sir Henry says, my dear boy, no woman is a genius. Women are a decorative sex. They never have anything to say, but they say it charmingly. Women represent the triumph of matter over mind, just as men represent the triumph of mind over morals. So according to him, all women do is to decorate a man, okay, or decorate themselves. You're just for decoration. Now people, this was written in 18-something, but these same ideas are still very pervasive today, and a lot of women fall into these ideas. What can you do? You, as boys and girls in 2020, what can you do? And we're going to close with this. What can you do to make the difference? To girls to not become just a decoration, and to boys to not even think about thinking about women as they don't think about thinking about women as decorations. What can you do to keep yourself from making that mistake?
Maybe showing that we can be interesting and maybe wise just by being ourselves. I mean, of course, in 2020, I think women have risen, or I don't know if that's the word, like, you know, like levantado en contra del machismo. So,
feminism.
Yeah, that. So I think nowadays we are a really strong group, and yes, there are a lot of women out there that still need help, but I think that we are changing the system. So that's something good, and we can prove to men that we are not objects just by being ourselves, showing our true self, what is inside of us, telling what we think about things and something like that. And men should do the same, because there are women that just are paying attention to men because they're objects to them, but I don't know, that there are some opinions I don't know. But yeah, I think we're strong enough to go out and say, look, this is me, and if you don't like it, then go ahead and leave. I'm not gonna stop it because of you. So yeah, I think that's something we can do.
Okay, sounds good. I'm looking for a boy. I have 4 boys in this class. 5, 6 boys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boys. Tell me something, boys. Tell me something, boy.
I don't know. If you're the type of son that were raised in the good way, you don't have to let this opinion or ideas change how you are. Because if your parents raise you up like in the right way, you have values, morals, and you respect the woman because your parent raised you in that way, you don't have to change how you are. because this idea are created by men and people. If you let these ideas change you, that is the reason why all the men's or the majority of men think like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's really good. And now that you mention it, Amir, one of the things that you as women particularly can do, you're going to have kids at some point, you're going to have boys. Raise your boys properly, because all these things that are happening with men are just badly raised men. Some mother was not paying attention. So if you make up your mind that you're going to raise your sons properly, you become part of the solution instead of just participating and complaining about the problem. Boys need to be raised properly. And what do I mean by properly? It happens a lot in our modern society, where we find that there's a home with girls and boys, right? And the mother makes sure all the girls learn to cook, learn to wash, learn to sew or whatever. And the boys, they just sit down in their rooms and the mother takes the food to them, or maybe they have to clean up the yard, but they don't teach their boys to cook. So then when these guys go out and get married, they expect the woman they married to become their mom. The woman has to cook for them, has to clean for them, has to wash for them. What is that about? You know what I'm saying? So make sure you raise your kids with this equality. Hey, women cook, men cook. Women wash dishes, men wash dishes. So if you ever leave your mama's house and you go and live single, at least you know how to cook. You don't have to go to KFC every day to eat because you don't know how to make rice. That's extremely important, okay? And I think that as women, a lot of women are really messing up in that aspect. They want to complain about the men, but you know what? The people at home raising these men are usually women. And you need to make sure that whatever is happening in your home is going to be productive for society in the future. Okay, and the same thing happens to you boys. When you have your sons, you make sure your sons know how to wash, know how to sew on a button, know how to cook. Make your boys cook. This foolishness like, oh, we only clean the yard and the girls do all the washing, that's ridiculous. No way can society continue with that mentality. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, and I repeat what I said at the beginning of the class. If you miss any work, you're gone. You're out. You're demoted. You go to intermediate. Just sign into intermediate. We are in the 3rd trimester. This is like the last part of this. It has been a really bad, let's not say bad, a really unexpected year. But we're not going to give up now. So when you get your work, turn in your work. Don't let it accumulate. Don't send it late, because if you send your work late or if you don't send your work, you are going to intermediate. We don't have space for you in advance. People, read chapters, what was it, 5 and 6? Read chapters 5 and 6. Please, read chapters. If you don't want to read the whole chapter, you know what? Go find the summary and read the summary so that you can participate in the class discussion. Es más, if you don't want to read the summary, go watch the video. They're all on YouTube. Get the audio book, get the movie, do something, but make sure you know what's going on in the story. Okay, that's it. See you next time. Bye-bye.